Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into something really foundational. We're looking at how a single shift in your perception, this idea of acting as if everything will work out for you, isn't just, a nice thought. It's actually a way to biologically rewire your brain.
Right. And what's fascinating is how many people are doing the exact opposite without even realizing it.
Yeah, that's the paradox, isn't it? They think they're being realistic, but what they're really doing is manifesting the exact life they don't want, always waiting for the other shoe to drop.
And that posture, that expectation, trains their brain's core prediction system to just look for failure, look for danger, so that's what it finds.
So what we're going to explore today is how to flip that switch, how to train your brain to actively look for proof that things do work out.
And this isn't about wishful thinking. This is about targeted neurological practice.
I'm glad you made that distinction.
Yeah.
Because this isn't motivational fluff. This is about neuroplasticity.
Yeah.
But let's start there with the definition, because acting as if can sound, a little delusional.
Yeah.
Like if something terrible happens, are you supposed to just ignore the pain and pretend you're happy?
That is the crucial question, and the answer is a hard no. That's the biggest misconception. Acting as if isn't denying reality. Not at all. If you suffer a setback, you feel the pain, you acknowledge the grief, of course.
Okay.
This is about choosing the meaning you assign to that event in the long run. It's holding this quiet conviction that eventually you'll look back and see how that challenge was exactly what you needed.
So it's about trusting the future you, even when the present is chaotic.
Precisely. It's moving from that default negative posture where you wake up expecting problems.
Or assuming people are going to let you down.
Yes. That posture keeps your nervous system just locked in fear. And when you're in that state, you're what the sources call hypervigilant.
Constantly scanning for threats.
Exactly. You're closed off. A new opportunity looks like a huge risk because the fear of failure is it's overwhelming. You're just programming the machine to find what's wrong.
So contrast that with the act as if posture. The fear is still there, right? The uncertainty doesn't vanish.
No, of course not. But instead of retreating, you lean in. And the core question changes from what could go wrong to something more like, how might this be working for me?
That's a huge shift. It's the difference between life happening to you and life happening for you.
Yes. It becomes a curriculum for your own growth.
The personal stories in our sources on this are they're so powerful. The speaker who talked about losing his alcoholic father when he was only 15.
A horrific experience.
It's awful. But he described it, looking back, as the best day of his life because it was the moment he had to wake up.
Right. That trauma, when seen through this new lens, it transforms. It stops being a random tragedy and becomes a catalyst.
And he showed how that pattern just kept repeating. The shy kid forced into a sales job at 19, doing cold calls.
Public speaking, facing rejection every single day, things that sound like a nightmare for a shy person.
Total nightmare. But he could connect the dots backward and see how those incredibly uncomfortable moments, the grief, the sales rejections, were all necessary steps.
Without the cold calls, no persistence. Without the early trauma, maybe not the same drive.
It reframes the whole idea of struggle. You persist not because you're supposed to, but because you trust that this painful moment is a necessary data point on the way to success.
And that trust, that core belief, is what allows you to take action when things are genuinely hard.
Okay, so let's get into the biology. How does adopting this belief actually change our wiring? This is where it gets really fascinating.
Well, you have to start with the brain's main job. It's a prediction machine.
Right, its job is to keep you safe.
Yes. Above all else, it's trying to predict the future to avoid danger. It doesn't really care if you're happy. It cares that you're alive.
And it uses a few key inputs for that, right? Past experiences, your current environment.
And crucially, your thoughts, your internal monologue, the stories you tell yourself about the world.
So if you're constantly thinking, I'm just unlucky or things never work out for me.
You are literally feeding your prediction machine data that says, the world is dangerous, expect loss, brace for impact, and it listens.
And what does that constant stream of fear-based data do to your brain neurologically?
Well, the big one is chronic stress. Your amygdala, which is like the brain's threat detector, it becomes oversensitized.
Like it's jumpy.
Very jumpy. Its threshold for what it considers a threat gets set really, really low. So now a simple email from your boss can trigger a survival response.
So you're basically living in a low-grade state of fight or flight all the time.
All the time. And here's the kicker for performance. Those stress hormones, they physically suppress the rational part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, your PFC.
The CEO of the brain, the part that does all the planning and smart decision-making.
Exactly. When the amygdala is screaming, the CEO gets muzzled. You lose access to logic, to creativity. Your cognitive function literally drops.
So your negative thoughts aren't just thoughts.
Yeah.
They're actually making you less smart in the moment.
They are physically reinforcing a brain structure that is primed for fear and reaction, not logic and creation.
Okay, but we can flip that. We can use that same principle, neuroplasticity, to our advantage.
That's the whole game. Neuroplasticity just means your brain can change. It can reorganize itself based on what you repeatedly do and think. Neurons that fire together, wire together.
So if you rehearse a worst-case scenario 100 times a day, you build an anxiety superhighway.
You do. But if you start deliberately thinking, I will figure this out, or this is working for me, you start building a new highway.
A highway that links uncertainty not to panic, but to, what, curiosity?
To curiosity, to courage, to action. The amygdala calms down. The PFC comes back online. You can think clearly again. You can see options you couldn't see before.
And that ability to see more. That leads us to the RAS, right? The reticular activating system.
Perfect transition. The RAS is your brain's internal filter.
The bouncer at the club door of your consciousness.
That's a great way to put it, yeah. Your senses are taking in millions of bits of data every second. It's impossible. The conscious mind can't handle it. The RAS decides what's important enough to let through.
And we program what it thinks is important.
We do. With our focus, our emotions, our beliefs. It's the classic example, right? You decide you want to buy a blue Honda.
And suddenly you see blue Hondas everywhere.
They were always there. Your brain just filtered them out before. You told your RAS, hey, this is important now, and it started showing them to you.
Okay, so let's apply that. If you, as the listener, genuinely believe nothing ever works out for me, what is your RAS showing you all day?
It's creating a confirmation bias on steroids. It highlights every tiny mistake, every slight, every piece of negative feedback. It's building a case for you that, see, I was right. Life is against me.
And it filters out the compliments, the small wins, the person who tried to help.
It minimizes them or ignores them completely. But if you shift that core belief to everything is working out for me, your RAS starts highlighting opportunities, synchronicities, helpful people, things that were invisible before.
So what people call luck might actually just be a well-programmed perception filter.
It's perceptual readiness. You're training your brain to be ready to see the good stuff.
Okay, we have to ground this in reality, because someone listening might think, great, I'll just think positive thoughts and a check will appear in the mail. That's not what this is.
Not at all. Thought without action is just delusion. The real power is in the formula. Your thoughts create your emotional state. Your emotional state drives your actions. And your actions produce your results.
You can't take bold, expansive action from an emotional state of fear. It just doesn't work.
Let's run a scenario. Let's say you launch a new project and it completely fails. The external event is the same for two people. Failure.
Okay, script A. The person who believes nothing ever works out.
Their immediate thought is, I knew it. I'm a fraud. I'm not cut out for this. The emotion is shame, embarrassment.
So the action that comes from that emotional state
is to withdraw, to hide, to stop trying, maybe numb out with Netflix. The result, no feedback, no learning, no growth. And their belief is confirmed. See, I failed again.
Now, script B, same failure, but this person believes everything is working out for me.
Their first thought is different. It's, okay, that didn't work. What's the lesson here? What is this redirecting me toward?
So the emotion isn't just disappointment. There's curiosity mixed in.
Yes, curiosity and determination. So their actions are to analyze the data, call a mentor, ask for feedback, and start planning the next smarter attempt. They use the failure as a tool.
And the result is growth, learning, and eventually success.
The external event was identical, but the internal story led to two completely different lives.
But that's why the identity shift is everything. It's moving from I'm the kind of person bad things happen to
I'm the kind of person that always figures it out. That self-trust is the foundation.
And it changes everything about you, even your physical presence.
Yeah.
Your posture opens up, you breathe deeper. People can feel that you're not operating from a place of fear.
It changes the risks you take. You stop begging for crumbs in a job or relationship you know is wrong because you trust yourself to build your own table.
You trust that even if you fail, you can handle it. You know you'll get back up.
And if we want a really practical tool to start this today, It's about changing your default questions.
So instead of the victim question,
Yes, instead of why is this happening to me, which is powerless, you ask the perception-shifting question, how might this be happening for me?
that one question forces your brain to look for an opportunity instead of a threat.
It does, and then you have to pair it with action. You have to send the scary email. You have to have the hard conversation. Every action you take is a vote for that new identity.
You become that person action by action.
Exactly. You act your way into a new way of being.
So to bring this all home for you, the listener, your default belief that in the end things work out because you always learn and you always adapt, that is your entire operating system. It dictates everything. So here is our 7-day challenge for you. For the next week, anytime something goes wrong, just pause. Say out loud, this is working out for me somehow. Then ask the question, how might this be working for me? And then, this is the most important part, take one small action that your future successful self would take in that moment.
And as a final thought to leave you with, just consider the biological advantage. Imagine two people facing the exact same problem. One person's brain is hijacked by their amygdala, consumed with fear. The other system is calm, regulated, and hardwired to look for solutions. If your brain is actively searching for the path forward, how much more quickly and creatively will you solve a problem that someone else hasn't even allowed themselves to fully look at yet? That speed, that clarity, that is the difference between surviving your life and truly designing it.